educate our user base about Dash, and then also kind of educate the Dash user base about Inleo. We've got some exciting news in terms of what's coming to the Inleo platform, and the ability for Dash users to utilize the platform. So we'll kind of just riff on that topic and let that kind of guide the show. And throughout the show, I'll be watching the threadcast. So if you guys have questions, it's linked up in the jumbotron on the space. You can click the threadcast and obviously go there and comment. But yeah, we've got Joel here from the Dash team. So Joel, how you doing?
I'm doing quite well. Starts to come together, and I'm very happy to kind of like introduce everyone to what's basically making us all so excited here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And it was fun when we met in person and we were kind of chatting about some of this stuff. And it was definitely an idea at that point, and something that would be cool if we could do it. And then it kind of quickly became, yeah, let's definitely do this. And then let's figure out how to make it happen. Obviously, jump over all the technical hurdles, and then just keep kind of charging forward. Um, and being that we've got Leo Dex already connected to Maya, and Dash is on Maya, and Leo's on Maya, we kind of had a nice financial connection there that would make a lot of the payments and whatnot a lot more seamless. So it's like kind of a very fortuitous environment for us where we've already got a lot of these kind of tech hurdles solved in terms of an integration. And really it just meant putting a bow on most of this stuff, and making it all possible from a user perspective, and making the user experience good. So I'm going to be honest, before this show I didn't really know what I was willing to release in terms of publicly talk about. I mean, I've obviously showed a lot of this stuff to you privately, but um, I think we should just kind of like open the kimono, talk about everything pretty freely and openly, um, and just kind of let everybody know what's coming. And I think we're pretty close. I've been testing everything, and some of you guys may have seen that I put up a couple threads, testing the new sign up and login integrations, just making sure everything looks really great. And then obviously we've been testing the Leo Dex backend. So yeah, I mean, we can kind of just get into everything, but I kind of want to ask you a question. What are you most excited about in terms of the prospect of the Dash ecosystem connecting with Inleo and Hive, and obviously being able to use it from a kind of like social and financial perspective?
Well, what I'm kind of most excited about having something very simple that just allows people to use and earn Dash. And that's been kind of the big thing, where the killer app for anyone using money is to earn it, because uh, we have like so many different crypto projects. And for years, something that we've been particularly trying to do is figure out how to close that loop to get people using it as money. And the biggest barrier to that is people don't have it. And there's been so many ways we've sort of tried to squeeze out it, like certain use cases of like, well, why don't you use it as a remittance rail where you buy it with fiat, send it across the world, and then resell it, and then just make enough savings so people will use it as a rail. And that just always didn't work out super well. And then there's stable coins that work better for some of these things. And then, okay, well, why don't we do enough gift card discounts or something to where people will be like, yeah, I'll buy this instead and deal with some volatility risk because I save like 3% or something. And none of these are compelling enough. And the real thing is, when you get into this sort of like Bitcoin style area where you are kind of your own excuse to exist, where people buy Bitcoin because they're hoping it will go up in price. And then they have it, and then they can then spend it after that. Unfortunately, Bitcoin's not very easy to spend, not nearly as much as Dash, at least as far as like a daily money. It's so you kind of have to get into that solidified area where everyone has it and everyone just wants to get it for other reasons. It's so we've had this like fantastic, basically digital money system and a lot of integrations and everything just ready to be used by nobody. Not quite nobody, but there's a small group of like people who get it. And as we're onboarding more people, one thing that really helps is an excuse for people to say, like, how do I actually earn this stuff? So I don't just buy it from a centralized exchange with a bank account and then do it. And then how do you onboard people also in the developing world or the unbanked or people like that? Always people looking for a way to earn. Earning crypto is the number one mass adoption tool, in my opinion, for almost anything. That's why people, sell and create NFTs. That's why they do a lot of DeFi things. Everyone wants to earn. And so having a fantastic platform like X, for example, where people can use it and then they can potentially monetize their stuff is great. There's so many barriers to that. And it just, Inleo works so much better in the Hive ecosystem as a whole works so much better in this way. So quite a long little ramble on that, but basically say, I think that Hive and particularly Inleo is a fantastic way for people to earn crypto, and that's what really has gotten the the community on board. That's really what's gotten this community to be so sort of vibrant and energetic. And tying that with the Dash community and what it's able to do, I think that it solves a massive thing for both sides. But just from our side, now it's like I can just tell people. I don't have to tell people, hey, why don't you buy this? Put your credit card in and buy this through this on ramp to test it out, and then later on, and okay, you don't have a reason to really care long term. This is a real way where people can consistently start earning without taking the plunge and getting their whole paycheck in Dash. So that's the biggest thing, is just showing people how they can actually earn Dash and then use it in the real world and start to build a Dash circular economy this way, where also goes the other way, right? You can not just earn Dash, but you can then spend your Dash backing creators, buying premium social features, things like that. And it's the whole thing ends up being, the circular economy that really works, and then can actually hopefully, free a whole lot of people.
Yeah, that's something I resonated pretty deeply with you when we met at Hive Fest in Croatia. Is that you were talking about how you're unbanked and how you live your life and have been for years, outside of the system and using crypto very heavily, and really practicing what you preach. And the whole idea behind earning crypto has obviously been front of mind for me, for many years. And I started Leo back in 2019, and the vision has always been, how do we get people earning crypto and onboard the masses? And I want it to be like so easy, like your grandma could use it and sign up, log in, and be earning crypto. And you don't necessarily, I think, a few things on the earning crypto part. You don't necessarily need to be making $10,000 a month. I mean, obviously that would be ideal for a lot of people, but right now the vast majority of people are earning $0 in crypto, or zero crypto in general. And really, the majority of people who earn crypto are really just kind of earning yield on various platforms. So I've always been kind of chasing this dream of how do we make it amazing in terms of the user experience to earn the crypto. And then I think you guys and the entire Dash ecosystem really bring the spending piece of the puzzle to the table, which is, we've kind of made it easy to earn crypto, and you obviously can sign up, log in super easily, and then everyone's spreading up votes, and then you've got creator subs and other features that are allowing people to earn. But if you want like a really vibrant economy, obviously you need more users, and I think a big piece of that is giving them a way to easily spend it. So, with the Dash integration, I think I'm pretty excited about the idea that a Dash user can come in and say, okay, I can sign up and log into Inleo. Obviously using the sign up method, it's super easy, and then I just make content and engage here, and then every time I earn, the threshold in terms of dollars, it gets converted from whatever rewards I was earning, Leo, Hive, HBD, automatically into Dash, and that Dash is sent to my Dash wallet address, where I can then trade it, spend it, hold it, or like you said, even go back and buy something. So like you can buy like premium or creator subs on Inleo, using the Dash or some mixture of all of the above. So what I'm really fascinated by and excited about is that we are closing the loop on this economy, which is, you guys have the payments and obviously, a pretty much a global network. And I would love to hear more about that from you, also for myself and for the audience about all the different places you can spend Dash and use it in the real world. So you guys have that side of the loop, and then we've got obviously the earning side, and we've made it super easy to earn. And my entire goal with this integration is that a Dash user comes in, they can sign up and log into Inleo in 60 seconds or less, start threading, start making blog posts, whatever they like to create. And then, maybe once a month or something, they just kind of like check their Dash wallet and there's just money in there. And that money is just coming from the platform. So whether that's, $2 or $10 or $100 per month, that's kind of my vision and my dream is that a Dash user is just using Inleo, as easily as they're using X. But then when they look at their Dash wallet every month, there's just some Dash in there from their activities.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of the vision. And there's two things that I think are very important that kind of make this like the time is right now for this. First of all, we're running into the era of, for the longest time, like I come from the crypto era when it was Bitcoin first. It wasn't Bitcoin only necessarily, but it was Bitcoin first. Like everyone cared about that first. Every ecosystem app or whatever could run on that, and maybe they had something else as an afterthought. That world rapidly shifted starting around 2016. And since then, we've gotten into sort of like a multi-coin world where there is so much that needs to be done as far as base technology, but also as far as integrations, platforms, infrastructure, everything to really move what matters, the entire world, move it on chain. And there's just so much where I think that a lot of projects have gotten ahead of themselves trying to be like the one chain to rule them all. Be like, oh, well, we'll do everything better. It's like, yeah, but you're so far behind everyone else, except everyone else is also so far behind everyone else in everything. You just cannot completely have this, like in a network effect based world, you cannot have everything kind of solved right out the gate. And the biggest players, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then let's just, I guess, throw Solana in there too, just are still have massive gaps in what they can today do as far as the end user is concerned. And so at some point, you kind of have to be multi-coin. Now, at least, at this point in crypto's evolutionary history, but then at the same time, for the longest time, multi-coin meant fragmented, where it's like, all right, well, now I got to like spend all this money running all these nodes for all these different chains, and I got to support this one, that one. This community complains about that, and there's just so much friction and extra annoyance of just having to balance a bunch of chains, confusing users. Like when they go, hey, how do you want to pay this invoice? Oh, let's do USDC. Well, which chain? Do you want this wrapped this on that one? And just like the tokenization, it just gets overwhelming for the end user. So the challenge then is like you need multi-coin, because if you do one coin right now, no ecosystem can just sort of support everything, where you just don't need to care about anything. Unless you're, for example, a Bitcoiner that just wants to buy Bitcoin and hope it goes up, and that's all you do, and the rest of your life is on fiat rails. That person can just care about one coin. No one else can. And then we had Thorchain, and therefore Maya protocol after that, which is now acts as a glue to stick the multi-coin world together, where now you can go between chains. You don't have to say, well, here you go, let's get paid in these specific Hive tokens or whatever, and you can use them here and there and there. You can also use Dash, which is you can use it a lot more places, and the payment applications are a lot more built out and stuff, but you can't earn it from that. So why don't you dump it on an exchange, and then we recommend that you swap some for the, like, no, that's terrible. So by using the Maya protocol and other things, by basically using everything that LeoDex runs on, now we kind of combine them seamlessly enough to where we kind of have the holy grail of just a just works app for the end user, where the end user can just say, hey, instead of signing up to Twitter or X with my email address or whatever else, and then I just start posting and I want to be a creator. Oh, there's these barriers and I get whatever. There's this other platform that's just much easier to just start using, and it's much more transparent. You can start getting paid right away, and you can become a creator and start offering premium subscriptions and things right away. You don't have to confirm you're 18 or older or whatever the hell that X makes you do. You can just get going right away, and then you start earning money that then you can just use to live off of. It's just a killer app right there. And behind the scenes, of course, you're using I'm trying to think, how many blockchains are we at? 4, right? Because you're using the Hive blockchain and 2 tokens on the Hive blockchain, where you got the Hive power that's contributing uh, towards boosting posts and stuff like that. You get the HBD stablecoin, and then you swap for the Leo token, and the Leo token gets bridged to Arbitrum, and then Arbitrum you'll connect via the Maya protocol, which is another chain, and then you get to Dash. And so you have all this stuff, which if you had the end user had to see and work with, it might be a nightmare, it might be a non-starter. But the fact that you just have this whole system just works. The machine runs, and it's like if you want to pop open the hood and be like, oh, there's the carburetor there. Oh, look, the oil here, the air filter, and you want to see the entire machine. Sure, you can. But for the end user, they push a start button, vroom, there we go, it starts. Push the gas pedal, you're going. You don't need to see, oh, do I have oil? And then I also have gasoline, and there's a battery for electricity. It's running on all these things. This is kind of the future of blockchain, or rather the present of blockchain, is a well-oiled machine that works for the end user, uses a bunch of different things behind the scenes, and just works. And of course, especially with Maya and Dash, they work way better with network effects. No one is going to have like 25 customers using this digital money to send and receive and sustain a network, or even show up as a blip. It doesn't work. And same thing with Maya. You build this massive infrastructure, you get swaps, small swap volume, whatever. You're building for nobody. It doesn't work. It's at scale where this works, where you build something that works, and then, which is an app like Inleo, and then you just start feeding it users, and it grows, and they're happy, and they don't even know all that they're sending this or that on that blockchain or this or whatever. And then the network effects start to grow massively on it. All 3 chains, I guess, but especially Dash and Maya are very focused on being much more useful with network effects. And so more users, more volume going through, just, to the moon. What else can I say?
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you said there. It's I like your analogy of a car. Most people are going to get in, and obviously these days it's just push to start, and you just click the button, car starts up, and then you drive off. You go where you're going. Car stops. You didn't really think anything of it other than occasionally having to put gas in it. Um, the maintenance on your end is obviously a very low barrier to entry, and there's just not much to do. And if you are curious, you obviously can learn about how that engine works and how that car is getting you from A to B. But the majority of people in this world have other things that they want to focus on and care about, and they just simply want things to work. I think we've entered a society where everybody just wants things that work. um, they don't want to necessarily have an intricate and intimate knowledge of all the little things that they use. So another good example being the internet. I would say even the majority of people here, and we're we're a pretty targeted audience for people that are curious and like to know a lot of random things. And even still, a lot of people here probably have no idea how the internet works, from a very technical and deep perspective. um, and if you go out to the broader world, it would be even less people that know how the internet works. But that being said, all of us are using the internet on a daily basis. The whole world now is really just using the internet for really everything. But most people have literally no clue how it's working. It's magic and it just works, and that's what they want. So we definitely need to meet users where they are, in my opinion, and this integration is really meant to do that. Um, and to kind of get into a little bit of the details, um, the key, in my opinion, one of the main hurdles that we've faced, not only as Inleo but also as the Hive ecosystem, and I've been on Hive, since essentially the start back in the several cycles ago. It's been, I think, almost 8 or 9 years at this point. Um, so I've been here for a while, and I've seen the ebbs and flows. And at one point, the legacy chain was a top five crypto, and people knew us, and there were hundreds of thousands of users coming in and leaving, and using the platform and doing all sorts of things, and people were super excited about it. But then over time, it just kind of died off, and obviously other chains proliferated, and people started going other places and figuring out things in the space. And I've always been of the belief that the reason why we didn't retain those people and onboard new ones was because, one of the things you said, it's just so difficult to, like, okay, you got to earn this coin, then you got to, find a centralized exchange where that coin is listed. You got to send that coin there, and then you can sell it for other coins. And then what can you do with these other coins? You can, potentially have a bank account where you cash it out into fiat. But a lot of people, especially in the crypto industry, are unbanked, or can't be banked. Whether it's by choice or otherwise, and that's just not the most viable ecosystem in terms of earning and spending, like we've been talking about. So, solving both ends of the spectrum is really important. Another thing I like that you mentioned, and I saw a good comment that I want to reference to from the threadcast. Um, Self-help control said, listening to this, I'm starting to think, and he made this comment when you were talking. I'm starting to think that Inleo can be a meeting point where many projects form alliances and join together to solve a problem. And I think, and to connect it to something you said about, Maya and Leo Dex, um, one of the key aspects of this integration is that people can sign up, and this is the first time that I'll say it publicly. And like I said, I just kind of decided this morning that we would even talk about it in detail. But the integration with Dash is using Keystore. So that is the first time that pretty much everyone here has heard that. Um, so we've integrated Keystore sign up and login as a solution, and that's how we're getting Dash wallets connected to Inleo. So with that integration, and I tested this as well this morning, and I sent it over to you over DMs just because I was so excited about it. But literally within 60 seconds, I signed up for Inleo. It created a Dash wallet for me. It created a Hive wallet for me. It connected both of those wallets obviously together, and then I was logged into Inleo. I made a thread, and then like 30 seconds later, I opened Leo Dex in a new tab, and then I went to Leo Dex and I logged in with that same key store. Um, and with that key store, I'm now able to trade into any other assets that are listed on Maya, which is obviously like native Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDC on Arbitrum, obviously Cacao, Rune. And I'm now, like, within, 1.5 minutes, I've, made content on a blockchain. I've created an account. I have a new key store with all these different wallets connected to it. I obviously have a Hive account. Um, and I'm logged into a multi-chain DEX interface where now I can swap, assets around. I could even load, the wallet with money from other blockchains if I wanted to. Like, let's say I immediately wanted to, buy premium, I could just connect up all that stuff, and then I've got a key store. I can send, $10 worth of Dash to that connected Dash wallet, and then I can go to Inleo and then buy premium using $10 worth of Dash. So it's like we've now seamlessly got all of this stuff connected. So I just like that comment where, you know, I also believe that with Leo Dex, and this was kind of the vision that is really being manifested now, the combination of Inleo and Leo Dex is what is allowing us to have all of this stuff be automated, and really abstract that complexity away from the user and put it all in the back end. So, this connected Dash wallet that I just made, I'm gonna, make some content in it. Let's say I earn, $10 over the next month. And then I log in, like, let's say I go to Leodex and then I log in a month from now using the Keystore, and I'll just see that there's $10 worth of Dash in this wallet. And then I can decide from there. Do I want to swap into something else? Do I want to hold Dash? Or maybe I, spend Dash, and I think this is where we can lead to if you want to get into it. Maybe I want to spend Dash, and so I take the Dash from that Keystore wallet that was created, and then I can just send it to my, Dash Pay mobile app. And then I can obviously go out into the real world and go spend that Dash. So do you want to get a little bit into how that looks and works, kind of from a spending perspective? I feel like we've gotten into how people can just sign up and earn Dash really easily. And obviously that's going to be our tagline is, sign up to Inleo in 60 seconds or less and start earning Dash immediately. So what is the other side of the spectrum? How are they going to be able to use Dash, now that they're earning it on a monthly basis?
Yeah, so first we'll just go over how like the actual vehicle by which most people will be using this, which is even though Dash is supported in like probably hundreds, at least a few hundred wallets and services around the world. But I guess the developed by the Dash community, the Dash wallet, or what will be called Dash Pay in, I guess, a couple coming days. Latest, so if you go into the App Store or the Play Store, there's going to be something called Dash Wallet, and that's just the basic Dash wallet. It's nothing special as far as like crazy fancy features and stuff, but it's a very solid. In all my years kind of living on crypto, it's one of the easiest wallets to use for everyday spending, and so that's one you're probably going to be using for most of this. And now I have to do a big. This is the saddest thing I'll probably have to say all day in this happy moment. The iOS development is a little behind the Android one, like maybe a couple months. So if you're an iPhone user, I'm sorry, but you're probably also richer than me because you have an iPhone, so I'm not that sorry. But the point is you might have to wait a little longer for some of these features. But anyway, it's scheduled for around Thursday, I believe, of this week, but the official Dash Pay wallet is rolling out into it. It's an update for that wallet, which will have not only advanced privacy features. So, and this is, let me explain that for a second. And sorry, this is a giant ramble. I just have to start at the beginning. So if anyone who's ever used a block explorer, and I've looked at a few on, obviously for so many different cryptocurrencies, but including Hive, you look up your Hive username. You can basically see everything that person has done. And if you're doing a social media kind of a thing, like you're, shit posting all over Inleo, like none of that is supposed to be private. That's fine. If you earn a certain amount of money from that, I don't think it's necessarily the biggest deal that's not private, unless you're a massive earner. You're balling like Cal over here, and you're a massive earner or whatever, and then people might see that. But basically, I don't think that any money can be mass adopted where you can see every single transaction that happens, where everyone can just sort of follow along and just see all your money, where you sent it, who you sent it to. It can be a big drawback in the actual payment experience. So first of all, Dash being a UTXO based coin similar to Bitcoin, you can get a new address every time you send, and therefore you'd have to actually have a little bit of blockchain analytics knowledge to be able to follow along. Like if I pay the barista, it's like, oh, it came from an address, and it goes to this address, and that's fine. You have to be watching that and see where the money moves after that to start trying to correlate between a person. All that to say, Dash has a feature that allows you to keep your transactions much more private than that basically shuffles the funds along with a bunch of different users on the Dash network and potentially anyone else who's doing this. And so that whenever you send your payment, you cannot trace, or it's very difficult to trace where it came from by just looking at the blockchain. So then if I paid you and then you want to see, oh, where did it come from? How much money does he have? You have no idea. So you have some basic financial privacy, which is very necessary for, I would say, transacting in a safe way, especially when this isn't play money. This is like real money that you're using to pay your rent, to earn all your money, to do everything like that. And so the Dash wallet will have this feature. In addition, it will have username support, which works a little bit differently than in the Hive ecosystem, where you just get a username and it's associated with your address, your transactions, everything. You can just send to that. It's sort of a special thing on top of it where you register a username and then you can friend someone on the Dash blockchain, on specifically the Evolution chain, on the new chain that launched this year. And by doing that, you exchange private payment information with that person. So now every time you want to send to a username, you look up on your contact list, you send to that person, and it generates a new address backend. And although with the important difference that it doesn't display this address. It's not like, pay this address and everyone sees the address you send, or if I post a donation address on social media or anything like that. And so that's what's commonly known in crypto as a stealth address, in that if you send to a username, it does send to an address somewhere. It's just not obvious. And that's that first data point when someone has an address that blockchain forensics, et cetera, starts to look into and start to try to de-anonymize all your funds. So it denies that initial piece of data. And so if you do that in combination with the privacy feature, which is just automated, just runs in the background, then you can have some very high privacy for all your payments. So that's like just the wallet. What's good about the wallet is it has that. So in addition to that, in most of the world, you can pay your utility bills, et cetera, like all your big bills, which has been a gap in crypto for the longest time, is the ability to pay those big bills. You can pay your big bills with Dash. I believe I did some, and there's a big article that I'm working on that is going to, of course, be published on Inleo as well as the Dash website, et cetera, going into this thing I call like Project 1 Billion, because up to 1 billion people around the world may be able to, based on their jurisdiction, pay their utility bills, et cetera, with Dash like today. Because I know there's a company that covers the US, there's a company that covers Canada and Mexico, there's a company that allows you to pay all your bills with Dash in Europe, there's one for El Salvador, there's another for Venezuela that I know of, and there's a few others out there as well. If you combine the populations of all these regions together, it's around 1 billion people. Now, obviously, it's not everyone in that country will be able to do that necessarily, and not everyone will. But if we get a small fraction of the population of these countries, which is, let's just say 0.1%, that is a massive user base that is just already ready to migrate to living on digital cash entirely, which is pretty awesome. So we have bill pay services that work for the big things that are hard to kind of come by. And obviously there's a lot of different point of sale systems and a lot of different individual businesses that will take Dash. But the other thing is there's quite a robust network of instant gift card providers, our favorite, of course, being Bitrefill, which lets you buy a gift card for almost anything in hundreds of countries around the world. Obviously, it's much stronger in the US and Western Europe, but basically any place that doesn't take crypto directly, like Amazon, you can just buy an Amazon gift card for the amount you want, drop it into your shopping cart, and go in like seconds. So you buy everything off of Amazon, for example. Say you're in the UK, Tesco, you can get a Tesco gift card, get all your grocery shopping done. And because, again, Dash has instant transactions, which is something that like maybe Hivians are just like, oh, all right, okay, because Hive also does very fast transactions. A lot of the crypto space is still waiting for confirmations, which is insane. So basically, you can, through a few of these intermediaries, which again, not relying on just one service, there's a lot of these that will do this. So if something happens to one, you can spend on Dash on everything, and including there are a few prepaid card options that work. So you can just keep all your money in Dash and then shuffle it over to a card the moment you need it. There's some that also you can do that completely privately. So for example, I have multiple friends who do not have bank accounts. I've actually quite a few who are living on crypto unbanked. But a couple in particular are unable to become banked because one does not have the one is a refugee currently and does not, kind of has to stay off the radar. And another does not have like a birth certificate or government ID at all. He does not legally exist as a person, even though clearly I know he exists. So he doesn't have the option to do this. And the fact that that both of them are able to, through something like Inleo, for example, earn crypto, get a payout in Dash, and then spend Dash for most of their bills, or almost all of their bills, in fact, without even learning a lot of hacks is pretty massive, and do so privately and not have to trust a custodian, not have to pay high fees, not have to wait a long time for transactions to go through, not have to make security or decentralization compromises. I think that's pretty massive. So that's just a big overview rant of the whole what happens when you enter the Dash matrix.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think again, just really highlights all the things that Inleo and Hive don't have, which is obviously, ease of spending and usability. And I definitely think that in this space we need more collaboration and less like, oh, we can do everything on our own. We don't need you, stay in our silo. That's definitely not something I've been an advocate of. I'm much more. I mean, I've been a multi-chain proponent since before Thorchain, had a usable product. I was talking about how I believe the future would be multi-chain. So I'm definitely, a more collaborative mindset person, and I just really resonate with all the stuff you say when it comes to spending and being able to use crypto, in a real world environment. Saw a good question from the audience that I wanted to bring up while you were talking. Let's see. So this will get a little bit back into the earning part of things, but Mod Manga said the best part about this is you won't need to explain how reward pools and other things work. It's just all automated. So yeah, I mean to speak a little bit about the automation part of things, automation is really the key here, and I think again, if we're going to go out into the world and start saying Inleo is a platform where you can sign up and start earning, Dash. We need to really live up to that and say, the user signs up and they start using the platform and are just instantly earning Dash. And they don't have to think about anything else. They don't have to convert anything. Um, they don't have to connect, all these different wallets together. They just click a few buttons and then they use the platform like they would use, X or really any other platform. And then they're just earning. So I think that's the automation thing is really key here, especially on the Leo Dex side of things. So, being that we've got Leo Dex and then, we've been working on the Hive aggregator to automate everything and make it like a one-click swap. That's really where we're at in terms of making it super easy to use.
Yeah. If you want to highlight some other questions, just let me know. I'll just ramble a little bit until then
Absolutely.
about how that
Good.
whole thing works together. The good thing, and at some point, I'm sure we're going to touch on how this benefits everyone. And that funny meme that they posted about like grows the economy, which I'm sure I'll share later. But it's kind of interesting how this whole thing. I actually completely lost my train of thought as I was saying it. I got too messed up in the in the joke. Hold on, let me read through before I can see what I was going to say. Oh yes, I was on some space this week, and we're talking about Web3 in the developing world, and a lot of things. One of the topics that came up was what are the barriers that are currently preventing people, I mean, obviously focused on the developing world, but also just the world, that are preventing them from just kind of going all on crypto, just leaving the legacy financial system and using the new one. As I mentioned, in all my years living on crypto, which has been coming up on 9 years next month, right? It's it's a lot of that has been, it's like living on a cash only economy where if you are, and I'm sure some of you are maybe old enough, especially remember being young and like a child or whatever, and having some cash or whatever, and you just have all your money is the money you got in your pocket or your sock drawer or whatever, and you go and can buy things with it, and that's it. And at some point, when you become an adult and you start to use the banking system, for example, you start to do savings accounts and investments and credit and mortgages and just all these other financial things that if you're just living on crypto old school like I was, you don't have any of that. You're just living like on a digital cash economy like that. One thing that really helps is sort of tying into a greater financial system. And obviously having these workarounds to do things like pay bills is a great part. But also going back to my friend who does not have birth certificate, does not legally exist, and does not have access. He cannot get like an Ameritrade or E-Trade or whatever the hell kind of account and start buying stocks and planning for retirement. It's just like cash and crypto. It's all he's got. So where it really started to be a lot better for him is when he got into first Thorchain, but now majorly into the Maya ecosystem, is because now thanks to DeFi, real DeFi, especially cross-chain DeFi, you start to be able to have access to financial systems, not just sending and receiving money to buy stuff. And so, for example, he's able to, let's just say, get paid in a job with Dash. Like, I have actually paid him in Dash before, obviously. And he then is able to obviously pay bills with that, but then also he's able to take some onto something like Leodex and just swap it around to a bunch of different tokens to diversify an investment portfolio. He's able to provide liquidity and start earning from that. And he did use, I'm not exactly sure what the status is right now of it, but when Thorchain's lending protocol was in full swing, he did manage to get a loan off of that and leverage that when the markets were low. He didn't want to sell his crypto. And so he basically, thanks to the DeFi world, especially with the Thorchain and Maya protocol and all those cross-chain dexes underpinning it, you now have a decentralized financial system. And so when you're talking about a Keystore wallet is the way you create an account on Inleo as a Dash user, and it's the same one that you can use to log into Leodex or any of the other Maya front ends, for example. Basically, it's like your money all goes to your savings account / investment account immediately, and you can then use all the Dash that you earn. So you can put it in the Dash pool, for example, and start earning a part of all those fees that happen when people are converting from Hive to Dash through the automated process on Inleo, or the other way around when you're buying premium or paying for subscribers or whatever. All that Maya traffic, then you get a piece of that. So it's like you're investing in that. You could also buy the Leo token and do all kinds of things, but on the Maya side of things, the Leo Arab token, put in that pool and get a piece of that, for example. You could swap, but you can just say, look, I'm earning everything as a full-time content creator on Inleo, let's just say. And I'm going to take half of all my money that I earn, instantly swap it into Bitcoin, and that's going to be my savings account, because Bitcoin has performed quite well price-wise, even though it's not nearly as useful as everyday money. And there's no reason you need to just stick to one thing. So you throw into your Bitcoin savings account, maybe half of that you put into a Bitcoin Thorchain or Maya pool, so you get some on top of that, put it around, and then you still have the rest of your Dash in there. And from my understanding, I think you should be able to even take the recovery phrase that comes out of that Keystore and put it into your mobile Dash wallet. So then you get on your computer with your Keystore, and then you just do the shuffling around the money stuff. And then any of the Dash you have left over, it's in your phone automatically, and you just use that. You have privacy with that. You can spend it, et cetera, et cetera. So, or you could just keep two different seed phrases, just manually send to your spending wallet and do that. But basically, in contrasting from the situation just a couple of years ago, where, oh, let's buy some of this digital cash stuff, hold it in your digital pocket, your wallet, and spend it. Now you got a full financial system around you, including a social media platform that lets you earn it. So all in one kind of piece. So now everything's kind of coming together, and this is a real powerful tool, especially for everyone, but like content creators in the developing world, especially, that just do not need to have any kind of access to the banking system. They get their own full-fledged financial system and online earning system, all without ID, all without custodians, all without official approval, anything. That's something that's really powerful, and I'm excited about the possibilities we can do with this.
Yeah, it's really sidestepping, a lot of the issues that people are facing, when it comes to earning and spending. So I think, yeah, it's just solving all those different problems by closing that loop. And I think, and you've mentioned in the past, people on Substack and people that are creating content and are out there, who either can't or don't want to, be connected to fiat in terms of earning. So obviously with creator subs, we've kind of solved that problem, and the real, the tools are in place. The real kind of bottleneck now is, how do we get enough users on the platform to make it more worthwhile? Because obviously, if you're launching a subscription service, you need customers. So I think that's kind of the next key, kind of domino to knock over. So, with that in mind, what are we thinking in terms of, and we've obviously chatted about this, but in terms of marketing, this feature, I kind of keep coming back to this tagline of, join in Leo, earn Dash, as being kind of like a good tagline. But in terms of like proliferating this to more users and just really getting people onboarded, because at the end of the day, you mentioned that a platform like this is really network effects based. So like, if we want everybody who comes in to be highly rewarded and obviously, earning more money and earning more Dash and, more and more active and getting more people subscribed to them and premium and all of that, it's really a network effect game where if you have 1,000 users or you have 2,000 users, it's not going to be enough to really support a vibrant ecosystem. But if you start getting 10,000 users and 20,000 users and 100,000 monthly active users, that's where things start to really kind of take shape, and you can see, um, a lot more value kind of flow into the Leo token and Hive and Dash, and obviously value flowing into all of those means that your earnings for what you're doing on the platform are higher. So, with network effects in mind and growth, kind of needed, how are we going to be, um, you know, proliferating this? Let's just focus on Dash users for now. What are your opinions around, messaging and how we can kind of best get this in front of Dash people and make it, make it kind of a no-brainer to sign up and start earning.
Yeah, well, first, as a very small, quick thing before that, I do think we also need to get the rest of the Hive community to use Inleo. Now, I guess if people are using other platforms and things like that, that's great. If they're not using any kind of a threading type thing, if they're just using the blog or PeakD, but they're not using the PeakD's threads or whatever else, and they're just spending all their time on X, for example. X is great. I spend a lot of time here, but let's be honest, you should be on Inleo. Like, I do notice a certain like divergence. Like, for example, when I post blog posts, that therefore all of Hive can see versus the threads, which mostly just Inleo users can see, even though it is on Hive. I do see like a little bit of a difference in the amount of like engagement and stuff that I get. Get the Hive. The rest of the Hive users need to, get on. The rest of the Hive ecosystem needs to get on board and know that they are like, this is the one place in Hive where they can interact with users who might know almost nothing about Hive, but yet are using Hive. And so if the Hive ecosystem wants deeper integrations, not just the Dash users as the drive-through window, just driving through and like, hey, I'm going to go post, do my stuff, get it out in Dash, and that's it, and just never think about anything Hive ever. This is the place to go to actually talk to these people, to have them as a captive audience, to then, get deeper into the Hive ecosystem, tell them about, storing some HBD, all the kind of stuff you can do. So as far as Dash users, right? The first thing is tell the entire Dash community and relentlessly, what I would call cyberbully them into getting on Inleo. Like, if you have the time to use any legacy social media platform that steals your data, that can censor you at a whim, that will only pay you if you give them your government mandated ID, etc. If you have time for any of that stuff, just get on Inleo. And the people that are on there, even though it's a smaller platform than X, for example, right now, keyword being right now, maybe we eclipse it someday. But the point is, even though it's a smaller platform, the quality of people that are on there is probably much higher, where it's not just any random person coming and joining with any random, set of views or motivations. It tends to be people that are interested in contributing to something positive and are interested in this technology of crypto, interested in freedom money, and not just an idle speculator who just says, oh, this sounds cool, buys a bag and goes back to their life and then refreshes a price chart. Like, no, these are real crypto users. This is the front lines. This is good people. So the Dash community as a whole, if they use any kind of social media, or even if they don't, should start contributing some serious time and effort to Inleo. That just getting the word out is the number one, kind of like the first step of doing this. The other thing is, as a 10-year plus old blockchain project we've been there since the very beginning, and there was the market caps go up and down, and right now, what is it? The peanut, the squirrel meme coin is worth 3 times as much as the Dash market cap for just the next couple of days until it goes to zero, whatever. Meme coins go. At one point, Dash was in the top 3 on CoinMarketCap and was in the top 10 and 50, et cetera, for a very long time as well. So we have so many different integrations and businesses and services and things like that use Dash that I have to talk to all of them doing business development, right? I get the pleasure of talking to them, I should say, because there's a lot of great ecosystem partners. The next step after just, hey, everyone in Dash currently, why don't you go use this? The next thing is, hey, Maya Protocol, hey, Ledger, Trezor, hey, Edge Wallet, hey, all you people in the crypto space, you should be using this new thing instead of, or in addition to, it doesn't matter, something like Farcaster, which I still haven't figured out how to get on, and probably will never at this point. This is the place to be. Represent your companies here in a crypto native ecosystem here, where everyone here is using crypto. Everyone is a crypto user. There's no one who is not a crypto user on Inleo. By definition, every single person here is a crypto user. And if you have a crypto-based company, why are you posting into the void on some, algo-based thing that, like, okay, maybe crypto people will see you. Maybe just some random person who came here to hate on everyone sees you. Maybe no one sees you. I don't know. Here, you should be posting here. And just in every call, just like every single time I talk to any kind of a wallet, I always slip in the Maya conversation. Hey, why don't you integrate something like SwapKit that will allow you to get Thorchain and Maya swaps and really kind of boost all your stuff. And at that point, it just, why not add that, hey, I see you don't post to Inleo right now. Do you know how easy it is to set that up and start posting and get your company more exposure? Just do, if you have an X social media strategy, add Inleo to it and you're good. So that's the next step, is just all the ecosystem partners and other companies that just want to do that. Obviously, some are busy and whatever, but advertising and promo costs money. And this does not cost money. This pays you money. And I know that some companies won't really super care that much about, oh, I earned an extra like $30 a month posting on Inleo or whatever for the company. But they will care that they don't have to spend any more time and pretty much no more money and very little extra time and effort just to reach a completely crypto native audience. And so, especially when you have, companies that of course support Dash and support the Maya protocol, because now it's just like everything together. So these are the low hanging fruit thing we can talk about. Uh, Beyond that, uh, what we have now is uh, a Dash product, a native Dash product that gives people an excuse to start using Dash at all. And that's the beautiful part about this thing is when you have a useful technology that just works and uses a bunch of other things behind under the hood. Um, it's now a thing that a network effect based blockchain, which all of them are. There's almost maybe someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I understand it, blockchains are largely infrastructure. They're a technology that you build things on top of. No one just no one just like uses crude oil for the most part. You don't just take a gallon of gasoline or petrol or whatever and just carry it around and like, here you go. You want some of this? Let's trade. Like, no, you use it in a vehicle, and the vehicle is like an app, and the app is Inleo. So uh, we have something that now we can protect. We don't even have to. It doesn't matter the blockchain rails it's actually on, but we can just say, hey, everyone, we can start running advertisements to say, join this exciting new blockchain social platform. You can get paid directly in digital cash. You don't need to sign up, give your ID, any of this kind of stuff. And it auto pays out. And then here you go. You can go pay all these other things, live completely on private, uncensorable digital cash, start earning, start connecting with other users around the world. Get started today. Now we have something we can just start advertising to the whole world. And it's always kind of it's always kind of a tricky thing with advertising crypto projects because so many of them don't have end user products. And you just end up sort of vaguely talking about the tech and how awesome it is. And the action item after that is go to Coinbase and buy our token and it goes up, let's hope. It's so Dash is in a unique position where for the money standpoint, where you can say, hey, download the Dash Pay wallet, start, buy some Dash, friend people, get usernames, and just start using it as money. Live all on crypto, and here's how. That's a great product that we have now, like an end user product we can promote that uses a Dash blockchain, both of them. And now we got another one that's very big and important. Inleo is a Dash product now. And so we can just say, use Inleo, and we can advertise them both together. And so as such, we've had a marketing budget for a while, but I've been planning a bunch of ad campaigns and sort of holding off on some of them because we're waiting for some key end user products to come out and be tested and finalized enough that it actually makes sense to advertise them to start getting users and tracking the users we get. And so what I'm really excited about for Inleo, other than just everything else I've been talking about for the last hour or so, is just we got another cool product that just dropped in our laps. Not really dropped in our laps, but like, you know what I'm saying? We got another cool thing we get to just start advertising to people and say, hey, you want to be a Dash user? You don't have to buy Dash, just sign up here. And it just works. And so was just talking to my employee about press releases today. There's a press release packages we'll, I'm sure, talk about. There's ad campaigns, there's advertising on social platforms like X. There's, the Brave browser is great for that. There's a bunch of elements for that. But then also just anytime you go on a show, anytime we talk about anything, anyone in Dash can just say, here you go here, and they'll just go to this landing page, sign up for Inleo, start using it, connect a Dash wallet, and just you're good to go. So that's basically where I can see it. This is finally something we can, throw our weight behind, actually advertise, and we can get a bunch of extra Dash users earning Dash, and we also get a bunch of extra Hive users. But we don't see that as a negative. There's no reason why would we be unhappy that we're getting a bunch of new people earning Dash and caring about Dash, using a Dash social platform to connect, Why would we care that we're also benefiting the Hive blockchain and community by doing this? Um, we definitely do not care from a negative perspective. And speaking for myself personally, I very much care from a positive perspective that I want the Hive blockchain to prosper as well.
Yeah, and I'm obviously a huge Hive holder, and there's definitely some, to talk about the first thing you mentioned, there's definitely some interesting, politicking and whatnot that goes on Hive that I tend to stay out of. But overall, it's a Hive user is a Hive user at the end of the day, and like we mentioned, earlier in the show, it's I really liked your car analogy that most people just want to push the start, get in the car, and go from A to B. They don't care how things work, and they don't need to care. And that's how I've really built things. And I put this in the threadcast too while you were talking, but Inleo is meant to be built on Hive. It's not meant to be Hive. So I think that that's a good differentiation is that, there are platforms on Hive that cater specifically to Hive users and the things that you can do on Hive, and they educate you about, witness voting and whatnot. And I think that those platforms are really good for that stuff. I tend to actually point people to those platforms if they want to be involved in Hive governance and whatnot. Inleo is meant for the end user, the average user, someone coming in and like we've talked about, potentially a Dash user coming in and saying, "Hey, I want to be, social and active on this platform and earn Dash, and that's all I want to do." And that's what Inleo I think is that's our niche, and I think that that's what we're really good at, and that's our value proposition overall. So if we can just kind of focus on that and really take it and put it in front of the right people, I think that that's really key. And you mentioned a lot about marketing, and we also have a marketing budget, and we've talked about some things that we can do together, and I think we can come up with some really good high converting ad campaigns that really talk about just sign up here and start engaging and earn Dash. And I think that you guys bring to the table something that we desperately need, which is brand recognition. I mean, I don't know a single crypto person that doesn't know what Dash is and has never heard of it. So, you guys bring a lot of brand recognition and validation, I think, to a platform like Inleo, where when we go out and we do ad campaigns on our own, a lot of times something I've seen is people are like, "Oh, this kind of just seems like a scam. It's like it's too good to be true." You can't just sign up to a platform and start instantly earning crypto and then refer your friends and also make crypto for that. There's no way that that's possible. So that's kind of like one of the key issues I've noticed that we've run into when running ads and when putting ourselves on press releases, and we've done the Cointelegraph release type of thing before, and we definitely run into the issue of people just thinking we're a scam because it's almost too good to be true. Um, so I think that having, kind of Dash as the, you come in here, you sign up with a Keystore and you log in instantly and you start earning Dash. And I think that that is something that we can really kind of take to market and have a much better conversion rate than anything else we've done in the past. So I had another kind of key point about that, which I haven't really talked about, but the automation of earnings applies across the board. So that what I mean when I say that is, let's say that you've onboarded through a Dash account, you are now earning in Dash, right? So every time you reach a certain threshold in terms of dollars, and right now and Joel, you can give me some feedback on this live, and I can always change it. But right now, the threshold I had in mind was $5. So as soon as you get to $5 in earnings, it will auto convert from those earnings, whether it's Hive, HBD, or Leo, and it's pretty much always going to be a mix of the three. Um, it's going to auto convert that into $5 worth of Dash in your Dash wallet. And the reason why I chose $5 is just kind of one, it's a round number, and two, Dash does have some fees, and they're relatively cheap. I see it's like around 15 cents or so if we were to do the conversion. So, that's something that we can always change over time. And when I'm done, you can give me some feedback if you think that that should be a different number to start. But the kind of unknown part to that is when you are onboarded through a Dash wallet, you are, all of your earnings are getting converted to Dash. So let's say that you sign up to Inleo and you're using a Dash wallet. let's say that you then go premium and then you launch obviously a creator subscription, and let's just say you've got 5 subscribers. So you're making, roughly $25 a month because each of those subscribers is paying you, $5. Let's also say that you're sharing a referral link. So you have a unique referral code for your account and you're sharing it on X and in other places and you're onboarding people as well. You can earn up to $50 on each referral. And that $50 is paid in Leo to your account in Liquid Leo. So you're now earning, in let's just say three key ways. One, you're earning from your content, in general, your public facing content, and that's from the rewards pool. Two, you're earning from your creator subscriptions, the 5 people that are subscribed to you, the $25 a month. And then three, you're earning from your referrals. So, every time you refer a new user in, you're earning, anywhere from, $0 to $50, just depending on how active that user becomes. All of those things are paying you either Leo Hive or HBD into your wallet. And then when you reach that threshold, and if you're just reaching it on a daily basis, it's just going to be a daily conversion automatically. All of those rewards are getting converted into Dash. So it's like this user I've just described could be making $200 a month between those three different earnings, um, and all of it's just getting auto converted to Dash. So I think, and the reason why I brought this up is, speaking on marketing, is I think a big piece for us is like, okay, we do these marketing campaigns, we get this message of join in Leo, earn Dash, out there, and I think the way that it can go really viral is, potentially say a couple hundred or a couple thousand Dash users sign up, start using Inleo, and then start sharing their referral code. And you get those network effects where, 1,000 people get onboarded and then they onboard 1,000 people who then onboard 1,000 people who then onboard 1,000 people. And they're the whole, that whole time they're earning those referral rewards that are getting auto converted into Dash. So I think that that's another, the referral system is something I feel that, it's kind of a multiplier. So it's like you need obviously the initial onboarding in order to have the network effect take place. But what I'm really curious to see is the fact that we've got these rails all set up so that, the referral rewards and all the other forms of rewards are paid in Dash. So now all these Dash users just have that kind of, deeply connected way of just saying, okay, I joined this platform, I do all these things, and I'm just earning Dash in my wallet without really having to think about it. Um, so yeah, I just kind of wanted to throw out the referral part of things.
Yeah, the referral thing is huge too. Obviously, um, we are very prioritized on just any way people can earn. And a big thing that one of the best things about Dash is it's the oldest DAO and has had a treasury system built in to pay for development and all kinds of different things. And where I've kind of made a change in the last year is I've tried to find as many ways outside of that budget to get things done. See what are non-monetary things we can offer partners to onboard, and then also what are some other ways of earning. And so, for example, we've really been leveraging a lot more referral codes for all our partners and other companies and things like that. And so, like, Dash should earn Dash, not just pay it out to its contractors. One thing that's kind of uh, so I've been using Inleo for in Hive for a couple. I mean, use Hive for much longer than that, but Inleo for a couple months now. And obviously, I'm like an old school user, meaning I use Keychain for everything and just do it all the way God intended, I guess. The one thing is, um, as a I think that personally, like like self custody is just a pillar of crypto, where you want to have the keys to control your money, everything else. Um, One of the biggest uh, annoyances for me personally of Steam and then Hive is the key management thing, and so I've had a couple of people that I've tried to onboard in the already through like the old school means or whatever, and they've kind of struggled to figure out the Keystore or the keychain and like all the different keys that come out of that. Your private posting key, your public posting key, or this key or that key. There's so many keys. And then even just with the extension, just like signing transactions and things like that. I think that one of the like Inleo itself especially in the last couple months, because I've noticed a lot of bugs have been squashed and things move a lot smoother. Um, Inleo itself is a pleasant user experience. It's like if I were to compare it to X, it's very comparable, maybe a slight bit more latency, but for the most part works just about the same. Now, the challenge is for people who is the onboarding with all those keys and things like that. And from my understanding, like Hive, might just there's some limitations as far as like how easily that can be done. I don't know. There might be some other wallets that are easier, etc. But just the ability to onboard via a Keystore, just create something, put down your recovery phrase, and just have a little file that you just like open and put a password in. File and password. That's it. And I think that that really helps people to be onboarded a lot easier too. You're not just having to manage a bunch of Hive keys, which can be intimidating. And it's just like one file, one password, one key, one currency, if that's what you want to use. And that's just it. Whereas there's a little bit of a barrier to adoption, I would say, for people having to juggle a bunch of different keys, not know how to back them up necessarily. I still don't know, by the way, the best practices for backing up Hive keys because old school with like a recovery phrase, you're supposed to pen and paper write it down so you don't take a screenshot or anything that could harm the ability, could let an attacker maybe take your money. I still don't know the best way of backing up a Hive keys. So the point is, Hive has many keys, and then you also have a multi token system where you got Hive and Hive dollars, but then you also have Hive power, and then there's like savings, and there's some other stuff. And if you expect people to juggle those tokens or try to manage them, it can get complicated. I don't think it's a basic user kind of a thing. I think it's later when you start to dive into the tokenomics. Now it's like you're changing your own oil on your car or like adding a spoiler to the back. Now it's like you're getting into the weeds a little bit. But just being able to get a Keystore wallet, just get a wallet and just use it and you get money out of it, I think is just also just a super simplified onboarding tool that will get a lot of basic users that the traditional Hive method might not.
Yeah, one kind of important point on that, and I know that Hive keys and the onboarding experience has been something I've been tackling for years as well. The first iteration, and if you actually go back to the early days of the legacy blockchain, you obviously had Steemit Inc. that was developing for the chain. One of the things that they promised and never delivered was light accounts. The entire idea of light accounts is something I was always fascinated by, which is essentially getting, the features of a full account, but not needing to manage the keys. So that was always something I was deeply interested in. And then in 2020, when Uniswap kind of came onto the scene and exploded in usage, and really then there became a big use case around MetaMask and using Ethereum and whatnot. I actually developed a light account protocol for Hive using MetaMask, and that was like kind of the one of what you see today, which is the light account, protocol that Inleo has. Um, and the way it works today is if you and I wanted to get into this because it's obviously kind of the cornerstone of this integration. The up until this point we've had X and Google as the light account protocol, so you can use your X or your Google web 2 account, and you can obviously still do this today. You can use your X or Google account to authenticate, and log into Inleo, and on the back end we create a Hive account for you. But instead of downloading keys, you don't need to download keys. We actually encrypt them in a database, but you are the only person that can decrypt them by authenticating with your Web2 account. So in theory, the main security risk there is, if someone were to hack your Web2 account, they obviously would be able to authenticate and download your Hive private keys, by being able to decrypt them. And then you've obviously got the security of the Web2 platforms to be worried about. But that's why they're called light accounts, right? So they're not full self custody accounts. It's more so like holding Bitcoin on Coinbase versus holding it on like a ledger or a Trezor or a hardware wallet of some kind. Um, So, but then we added obviously the ability to then go to your settings, and then you can change. So what it does is it automatically changes your private keys so that there's no traces left in our database of the old private keys, and then you download the new ones. So that's how we've kind of sidestepped the whole Hive key management issue, which is to make it really easy for someone to sign up. And then when they're ready, after a few weeks or months of using the platform, they can then go in and change and download their keys and go full self custody. And then obviously leave no traces behind with the X or Google integration. One thing I'm really excited about with how we did this integration for Dash is, like I said, it uses the Keystore. So when you create an account, it actually creates a new Keystore file for you. And if you're familiar with Keystores, it's basically a JSON file, and it can actually be used, like I mentioned before, on Leodex and on other interfaces as well. Like you could go to ThorSwap and use the same key store, or go to AsgardX and use the same key store, for example. Um, so it creates you a normal key store file, like it would any other interface where you make a key store. But what we've done, and I think that this is really fascinating, is we've used the same backup seed phrase, like what you just mentioned. The words. We've used that seed phrase to then derive Hive keys for you. So when you create that key store, you're also creating a Hive account, but instead of downloading the Hive keys, you're actually just downloading the same seed phrase that you would normally for a key store wallet, and that seed phrase is used to then derive Hive blockchain keys. And then when you go to log in, you're just using the key store file and your encryption password to then log in. So Inleo isn't holding any version of your keys whatsoever through this key store implementation. It's all encrypted on your end using the key store. And I think that that's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for Hive users. But again, this isn't meant to cater to Hive users. I think Hive users are to be interested in the security of it and how it works. So I think that teaching them that we've actually been able to derive a Hive key from this seed phrase, and then allow the user to self custody through Keystore. That's going to be an interesting and fun lesson to teach, Hivers who are interested in this. But um, it's just such a fascinating implementation that, a simple key store file, and now you've got, a Bitcoin wallet, a Dash wallet, a Cacao, Maya wallet. You've got a Thorchain wallet for Rune. You've got all these wallets wrapped up into one. And I think that that's just super fascinating. I mean, we've taken what is already fascinating when it comes to key stores, which is the ability to have one key store and obviously derive a Dash wallet, and derive a Bitcoin wallet, and derive a Ethereum wallet, all from that key store. And we've taken it and we've said, why don't we just make it so that you can also derive a Hive wallet from that key store? So that's really how this implementation works. And I think it's going to be, when people actually see it, live and are using it, they're going to see kind of the magic of it, which is that they're not going to have to, you know, the Dash user, for example, is not going to have to worry about or even understand, how the Hive keys are working. All they need to know is that they've got a key store, and they need to obviously secure that key store and back up with their seed phrase. And if they do all those things, then they are doing the best practice, both for the Hive account that they've created, and for all the other wallets like the Dash wallet that they created as well.
Yeah, it's just going to be cool. The whole system working together. And obviously not related to the Dash integration, but after this, anyone, any other community can just sort of join and do kind of a similar thing where now you can just say anyone who already has a key store file or is already in that sort of world should just sign up to use this thing. I mean, that's one of the most annoying things about signing up to new blockchain services is you always have to, if there's anything resembling self-custody of your keys, you always have to create a new seed phrase or a new wall or a new something. It's just like, I don't know, so annoying juggling all these just to try out a new social thing. But if you just sort of sign up with something that's very familiar to you that you can actually use outside of this, I think that could really be efficient. And so that kind of the Maya interface key store idea really just makes it easy for people who are fans or users of any of the Maya supported assets to just kind of do the same. Of course, I'm not recommending you necessarily build out explicit interfaces or do big pushes with any community that's just not excited. Like, let them do some work too, right? Like, obviously, the Dash community is more than happy to pile on and start, spending advertising money and do all this stuff to really all this heavy lifting. And so you're definitely earning our smooth integration. But anyone else who wants to should definitely do the same. And then that just, the Dash community doesn't suffer from that. We're still using our fun little social site, doing all our usual stuff, and there's just more people on there, more people to see our stuff, vote on our stuff, give us more money, subscribe to stuff, more people to subscribe to, and just it kind of grows from there. And then all this running on Hive obviously benefits Hive long term. And that's the thing about, like, hopefully this is one of the first new age, like, mass adoption era crypto apps is having something like Inleo that just works, and it's truly sort of chain agnostic despite using quite a few different blockchains and depending on exactly what you're doing. And the early barriers to this is, how do you sell your community to get excited about something where people are like, "Hey, you're pumping another chain." There's a lot of this kind of sentiment in deep in crypto, and I think some of that comes from the super early days. You couldn't really do anything with it except buy it and hope it goes up. And so the only thing you could do is kind of create something sort of like almost like a cult around the token, and it just have this sort of zero sum thinking where this is what you got to do. You just got to your community versus the other community, and you just want to be loyal to your community and all this kind of stuff. And at some point, like, there's just users. Like, I know that, like, iPhone users might be a little bit weird about stuff, but, like, how many Android users are, like, super loyal to Android? They just care about Android and, like, oh, you're using something else. Ooh, that's weird. Like, no, pretty much none. In fact, a lot of them don't sync up necessarily with Windows users either. Like, you might have, an Apple computer, but then you might have an Android phone or something. And it's just tech. And who cares what the rails it's using, as long as you're happy using what you're using. And I think that it's, in my opinion, the non-maximalist communities who just care about the end user and build stuff for them first and foremost are going to be the first big winners. And everyone else who has maximalist tendencies and vibes, they're just going to lose. I'm sorry, they're just not going to do well long term. I mean, Bitcoin kind of has the advantage of where, you can just, it's done very well in terms of price, and the killer app of it is to buy it and hold it and stuff. And they kind of gotten grandfathered into that. But as far as everything else in the space, you're going to lose if you don't collaborate. You're going to lose out on a lot of things. So I think that obviously we at Dash are very open to collaboration with a whole bunch of different projects, and obviously Maya and obviously Hive. Now, if there's any drama in the Hive ecosystem, it doesn't matter because they already got gifted Inleo that's built on it. And so they can be all grouchy and, man, we don't like you guys. And too bad. You're using the Hive blockchain. They're all strapped to the rocket with us. We're all going to the moon together, whether they're grouchy about, that the other people come to the moon too. At some point, when those usage numbers on Hive start to go up, the users go up, the trading volume goes up, the amount of Hive power that's pledged to things goes up. When all these metrics go up, like, no one's gonna care. Everyone's gonna be happy. Everyone's gonna be happy to be winning. They might get tired of winning, but I hope not.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's like they're gonna be on this moonshot with us, whether they like it or not. Um, and one thing I've always talked about is, Inleo is and again, I mentioned this not too long ago on this, is Inleo is built on Hive. Everything that we do is stored on Hive. We use Hive as a database and a backend for all this stuff, and it's what makes the platform possible. And when we onboard, any user, but obviously since we're focused on the Dash onboarding, when we onboard a Dash user, they are creating through that Keystore method that I just mentioned. And, they are, every time they make a thread or do anything on Inleo, it is a transaction on the Hive blockchain. Um, and when people ask me why I think Hive will have value in the future, my my thesis on Hive having value is that you have some projects like Inleo that are building on the blockchain, and gaining more users means that we need to have more resource credits, which is the equivalent of gas. Gas fees on the Hive blockchain. So if we onboarded, 10,000 people through this Keystore implementation for Dash, that's 10,000 accounts that we now have to supply with resource credits. We don't force our users to go out and get their own resource credits. We have a dynamic delegation pool that makes sure that every new user has enough resource credits to interact on a daily basis, and store their transactions on the Hive blockchain. So the Inleo's success really means that we need to go out and buy a bunch of Hive power, or buy a bunch of Hive and stake it as Hive power so that we have enough resources to delegate out, to all these, this growing user base. So that is the thesis of how all of this kind of helps Hive, at least just one of them. I think there's a lot more to it as well. But the big one is, if you want to look financially, it's, get more users, and that requires Inleo to have more resources, and those resources are in the form of buying Hive and staking it. And Inley already has a few million Hive power, and we'll likely have to buy a few million more. I think in the next year, um, and in the future, I would love to see us just continuing to need more and more Hive power. One day, maybe having 10, 20, 30 million Hive power, just because we have so many users and need to service those users with resources. So yeah, I'm just super excited about what all this means. I like to say that we've spent the last 5 years just banging our heads against the wall, getting the technology to this point where everything is very usable and seamless. Both from a Leodex backend and Inleo front end perspective. So now that all that tech is kind of in place, and we're putting the final touches on this Dash integration, I think we are ready, for the masses. And with all of that said, we've been on for an hour and a half, but I definitely love the coverage here, and I think everyone's gotten a lot more clarity on both the technical aspect of how all this is going to work, as well as how Dash is closing the loop for us in terms of the payments, and hopefully how Inleo is closing the loop for Dash in terms of earning. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you want to tell the people, Joel?
Yeah, just we have a very incentive aligned machine built where Hive benefits, Dash benefits, Maya benefits, and if you hold the Leo token, obviously you benefit. And there's ways of earning in just about all those parts. You can provide liquidity, and for example, the Dash Maya pool, the Leo Arb Maya pool. I don't know how the rest of the non-Maya stuff works on Leodex, but all the ways you can use the Leo token, the Hive token, etc. And just as the system runs, it provides value to everyone who's supporting that system. So if you are just have a good collection of these tokens staked and thrown all over the place, pledged to this ecosystem, you just start feeding it users and usage, happy users, and over time, everyone just does well from this whole thing, and everyone's happy, and it just works out. So the only other thing I would just say is, just ask any questions you want, connect, join our community forums, anything. Always here to talk, always here to, make crypto great again. Always here to get everyone we can on chain for everything, not just buying coffee once in a while, but definitely starting with that. Basically, yeah, stay tuned for the rocket ship coming forward. But yeah, I actually I've been brainstorming some memes. That's the big thing, right? Or not the big thing, but maybe a big thing. If you're a meme maker, start making some memes. Some memes about this whole integration and everything. One thing that I was thinking of was the whole Thanos Infinity Gauntlet, where you got the Infinity Stones, you got the Dash one, you got the Maya Cacao one, you got the Leo one, and you got the Hive one, and it's with all
I
four.
really like that idea.
You
I hope
just snap
someone
your
makes that.
fingers.
That's a sick idea. Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many of these out there. There's so many abilities to make memes, and of course, I already did the, you know, current President Biden like grows the economy meme, and I wanted to so bad to drop that as a Leo short. And as soon as we get three speak back running, it's dropping in for sure. And so there's just so many fun things we could use to talk about that kind of stuff. And I would just say everyone just use crypto, use Dash, use Hive, use Inleo, whatever, and just be happy that you're using it, and don't get all like, butthurt. They're like, well, why are we spending advertising dollars from the Dash treasury to get people using this other blockchain? And blah, blah, blah. What if Bitcoin Cash also starts? Oh, shut up. No, just be happy. We're getting lots of new users, lots of new usage. And then like, don't be like, oh, they don't even know they're using Hive. Oh, what about it? Who cares? They are. That's all that matters. Let's just everyone grow. And I think that once we see these like four infinity stones style, the power you get from like stitching together four projects into one killer integration, and we start to see the power of that, I think that we're going to start to change the world in a real way, where all these blockchain silos, or everyone's kind of like hoping their app, their exclusive app, siloed app takes off so their bags pump. That whole thing, we can end that and just make a world where once we start connecting together in a way that makes sense, not in a way that doesn't make sense. The rocket ship, we go to the moon, not just, oh, Bitcoin's doing great. Oh, Doge is pumping because it's fun. Oh, meme coin, but like the space pumps, not just price, but like everyone gets on chain. Everyone gets off of legacy things. Everyone gets on chain. We dump the banks. We dump the big tech companies. We dump all that stuff. X is pretty cool. You can stay around for just a little while until we all migrate to Inleo. But the point is, yeah, we're all going to great places if we want it. So let's do it.
Absolutely. I love that message. Just, abundance mindset. We're growing everything across the board. So, get on board and help us do it. So yeah, thanks for jumping on. Thanks for joining me. Um, this was really awesome. I'm even more, when we figured out kind of this new path forward, I got extremely excited, and that excitement has only grown more and more as we've actually put it live and have it in testing right now. And I've been using it. I just am super, like, I woke up this morning just super excited, and then talking to you now, I'm even more excited about where things are headed, and how we're going to kind of make all these things happen that you just mentioned. Make it, you know service all the people who need this stuff. It's like for a lot of us, and I know for me, this is like a want. Like, this is all just like awesome to have. But I know that there's many people out there in the world where this is necessary, and this is like, this technology and these features and these platforms can change their life, and they can really dramatically improve their life, pull themselves out of a bad situation, wherever they are in the world. And that is a big driving force for why I build this stuff. So I'm just really excited that we are able to bring this stuff to everybody, and do it with you guys as well. Um, so yeah, thanks again for everything you do and for jumping on this. And I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot in the days to come as we near the launch of this, and get everyone excited about it. And
Yeah,
then
thanks so much
thanks
for
everybody for
listening.
joining. Yeah, yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks everyone for joining, and we'll see you guys later this week. Peace out.
Bye bye.